right, this is Carissa Putter with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program for the Pensacola Environmental History Project. Today is April 11th? 12th. Today is April 12th. It is around, what time? Let's see, 10:15. All right, and I am here with, can you just say your name for me?
Nancy Hirsh.
Nancy Hirsh. Hi,
Yeah,
nice
hi
to
there.
meet you.
Nice to meet
Thank you for
you.
coming out to talk with us today. Just to kind of start off, can you tell me when and where you were born?
I was born in Miami, Florida, Coral Gables, Florida.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
I left there when I was 4 weeks old with my
Gotcha.
parents. My dad was a Pan American pilot, so he was transferred all the way to Seattle. So my parents took myself and my 3 older siblings, moved across the country, and pretty much moved to the Northwest in the Tacoma, Seattle area. And then they had 3 more children.
Awesome. And did you live in that area for long, or were there any
Tacoma,
more
Seattle
moves?
area. Yeah, I
Yes.
grew up in the Northwest, and I left there. I mean, I went all through grade school, high school, and I left there to go to Oregon State University the first year. The second year, I went to Washington State University. I wanted to get closer back home. And the third year, I went to University of Washington in Seattle,
Awesome.
studying social welfare, sociology, things to assist people to have good lives.
Awesome. What led you to study that?
I don't know. I became a Bahá'í at 19, and it really opened up my eyes to the world is in great need. I lived at the time of the Vietnam War when they were drafting young men at 18, didn't even know what they were doing, and putting them in the Vietnam War with a gun in their hand. So I was opposed to that, and I learned about this faith in, I think it was, Washington State University. And it's a faith that really believes in the oneness of all humankind, and that we really are here to work on our own spiritual and intellectual development, but we're also supposed to work to better our communities. So that's what I wanted to do.
Awesome. And what all did you do when affiliated with that? Like, were there any things that you learned, meetings that you went to?
With the Baha'i faith?
Yes. How did you kind of learn about it?
Oh, I soon became a Baha'i because my best friend gave me a book, and I went to a meeting, and it just made a lot of sense to me. So then after that, I went 3 years of college, and then I quit college temporarily to join a teaching team in Oklahoma, traveled through Oklahoma, New Mexico, many of the Indian reservations in the Southwest, and ended up moving to the Southwest, which is, Cortez, Colorado is the Southwest. So it was something I could really believe in and knew, because it could be a benefit to the world, because it believes in justice for all people, not just white people, but for all people, and that we're all members of just one family, and that the earth really is one country and mankind its citizens. So I knew that I could get behind. I didn't believe that we should be drafting young men and then sending them off to a war they didn't believe in. And I don't believe in war at all, but that caused me to become spiritually awakened and to question the values of my society. So I don't know if I answered your question, dear.
No, that was great. I love learning about that. And so now you mentioned Colorado. When did that kind of switch happen?
I moved into Colorado. I was asked to be on a teaching team by my best friend, which introduced me to the faith. And that team it's called the Army of Light, and it was in Oklahoma. So I joined them as soon as I could and traveled them. This team had gone up all the way to Alaska and was back down in the Southwest, going to Indian reservations, and I traveled with them for, several months to just introduce the faith to people, get to know people, love people, honor people, So it's really a wonderful faith, but it was primary to my goals in life, to be of service to mankind. It kind of put it inside me. Also, my parents did, of course, and my brothers and sisters and all of that. But yeah, it formed my character. Yeah.
Do you have any like fond memories or any memories that stand out from that time while you were doing that traveling?
Oh, that's a good question. Just the people. I met a wide range of people: Native Americans, African Americans, Latino, Anglo. Just met, Pueblo Indian. One of the couple people on this team were from the Pueblo Indian people of Isleta Pueblo, Linda and Chris Cholas. So yes, as I was growing up, I wasn't exposed to a lot of diversity. In my, Catholic grade school, high school, you have to have a certain amount of money to go through to Catholic school, and so there was like one African American in my high school or two. I made a point of befriending people because I just did not believe in racism. Because of several experiences in my life, I just really knew there's a better way. So traveling and meeting people and sharing with people and learning from people is what formed me, I should say. Yeah. My parents believed in education, so they assisted me to go to college. And I worked too. Then I got out. Then I eventually went back. Once I knew what I wanted to do, I went back. Got married, moved to Durango, Colorado. Got in school to become an LPN, which is the beginning basis of nursing, just testing the waters. I had a lot of background in psych and soc, but I could see that I could maybe be of some benefit by becoming a nurse, so I started there.
Awesome. And can you tell me more about your experience in healthcare, like becoming a nurse?
Sure.
How that process started?
I worked, was married, have two beautiful children, Rachel and Renee, and before I had them is when I went into nursing school and then got married and was able to stay home with them for several years. And when I got them in school, first and second grade, I was given the opportunity to go on to get my RN, my registered nursing degree, so in an associate degree program in Farmington, New Mexico. So I traveled there back and forth every day, and achieved that. And then the University of Colorado in Grand Junction. For some reason, some nurses got together, and we were given this beautiful gift of them flying the instructors to us in this little town called Cortez, Colorado. And my job was to pick them up and get the audiovisual aids ready for them. And so they actually paid me $300 a month to pick them up, take them, get them where they needed to go. So it was paid for because I felt guilty because, just my husband working. So I was able to pay for it, got my bachelor's degree that way. I had enough courses in college to not have to take a whole bunch of courses. So I was able to get a bachelor's degree within a year and then go to work in Colorado. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were starting out in nursing, were you working more in smaller hospitals? 'Cause I know you mentioned like it was a smaller town. Or was it like larger?
Yeah, Cortez, Colorado, Durango, Colorado at the time is a small hospital. Then we moved to Cortez, Colorado to help form one of the first local spiritual assembly of the Bahá'ís of Cortez. So I moved there, and yes, it was a little tiny hospital, but a wonderful hospital. Southwest Memorial Hospital, wonderful, like 60 patients. But I learned a lot, ICU, nursery, OB, ER, yeah. And my daughter's become a nurse too, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
No, you're doing great.
Correctly.
We're learning a lot from you. And so how long did you stay in nursing?
My whole life. Like I worked 45 years in nursing. I started out in an office with our family doctor, just filing, and then became a nurse's aide. I checked it out to see if I really wanted to do that. And then I became an LPN, then an RN with an associate degree, and eventually with a bachelor's degree. and worked seriously 44 years in the field. And then when I moved here, I went back to school with and got a K through 8 elementary ed alternative license because they needed teachers here. They were very short of teachers. So that's why I'm like all about children, all about youth, all about people such as yourself going on to college and learning about these issues that are very important to the world. Yeah.
Awesome. So have you already started teaching at any of the schools here in town?
I taught for, I subbed for a couple years and then I taught, but I'm retired now. I'm 73, so I'm like blessed to be retired, and I put myself into community work and community organizations and opening my house once a week for prayer gatherings and opening my house once a week for study circles about reflection on the life of the spirit. So how to work on our own selves, like I said at the beginning, spiritually and intellectually, but also how to better our communities. So we're always looking for some way to contribute to the betterment of our communities, our neighborhood, our community. It's quite interesting that these two beautiful young women picked me to come talk to you, because that's what I'm all about. And I was interested because of the work that you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear you're very kind of community focused and engaged with the community. And with that being said, from my understanding, you've been living here for a few years now. From being like kind of that like connected and involved with the community around you, can you kind of describe what you've noticed, like different like aspects of what Pensacola's like?
Yeah, I just recently moved back to Pensacola. I lived in Gulf Breeze, then I moved to Niceville, then I moved back to Pensacola 6 years ago. And it's completely different. It's buildings everywhere. They've put buildings everywhere. They've taken out a lot of indigenous neighborhoods and put buildings up. It's very beautiful. Last night, though, I went to something called EPA, Equatorial Project Alliance, which is an effort by Julian McQueen and friends to, after the murder of George Floyd, to start a group that would focus on the equitable understanding between the African American living here and everybody else. So it's working to bring people together, to hear each other, to learn from each other. I mean, just a example was we met in a community garden underneath the freeway, and the freeway was built above this neighborhood, and this neighborhood was basically moved. These people were moved. 1,000 people, African Americans, moved from this neighborhood so they could build a freeway. But someone got involved, this I-110, and built it above so that they didn't completely obliterate the idea that someone can walk across the street to meet their mother or father or child or somebody. They tried to, you know, it's a group that's working toward equity between people and to assist the African American to raise up with the education and job possibilities, and to do whatever we can to eliminate racism. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think of my next question.
Sure.
Actually, Grace, are there any questions that you would like to switch on for?
Well, I know that your work is about, my understanding is your work is about, right here, this paper here says, as a city with a rich industrial history, Pensacola is no stranger to the impacts of pollution. The University of Florida is conducting interviews to learn more about experiences with pollution in Pensacola. You're invited to share your story. Do I live near a polluted site? Have you been impacted by contaminated water or soil? Do you experience health issues due to pollution?
Well, then let's start with that. Did you know about any of those things when you moved to Pensacola? Have you heard about that in the community?
Nope, and I just recently moved here. I moved here in August. I did not live here. Yeah, so no. But I don't doubt it. And my guess is, in the poorer parts of town is where they dump pollution, or that's where the people are. So that's another reason I'm motivated to be here, because, you know, no one gets there until everyone gets there. And we have to care about each other. Yeah. And we have to use modern science to discover what's in the ground and what people have done, and we have to be realistic about what's been done here. So I'm in the learning mode right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so there are a lot of neighborhoods that have been affected by Superfund sites, and these are areas that do have a lot of, that have interacted with a lot of contamination from old industries that have been recently, that have been shut down as of, I'll say late, but it's been a long time. But it's been an ongoing issue with getting these sites recognized and treated.
Yeah. Yes.
And so we kind of try to talk to more people in the community on their memories of these sites, like the American Creosote Works, Agrico. These like had a lot of chemicals that have contaminated soil, affected water quality, and it brings up a lot of people's relationship with the environment in Pensacola, since it is a coastal city. A lot of people are really engaged with the environment.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself like moving to Pensacola? Do you frequent a lot of the beaches or anything? Or are you like?
This is something I remember about when I first moved here, and it was Gulf Breeze. I was getting my driver's license, and this is in 2004, and for Florida. And I was sitting next to a doctor's wife. And, you know, this may be controversial, but I'm not afraid to be truthful at all. Sitting next to a doctor's wife who said to me, we're talking about water and signing up of water. She said, you know, the doctors here don't drink the water here because it's polluted and it will cause cancer. This is a wife of a doctor. And that was enough for me to make sure I didn't drink the water here, and that I used bottled water, or got a filter, or got RO water I'm trying to put in the house that Jazz and I are trying to build. And so that was my first inclination that something's up. I also worked for the health department here, and I knew a person who was supposed to check the quality of the water, and he would check it once a month or once a week or however often, and he, you know, a certain level of contaminant was allowed to be in the water above a certain level. And so then I knew, of course, and then when you see them dumping all kinds of garbage in this water, one begins to worry about the quality of the water. And after Ivan, there was all kinds of stuff in the water. There was soap suds that were brown, and I mean, I don't think it's funny. I just think I think we've got to work together, period. And we also need to tell the truth and not be afraid to tell the truth about anything and everything. As we see it, the more we learn, the more we can speak from an educated point of view. But every single one of us needs to be aware that not just the rich white people get to advance in any community. No, it's about everyone making advances and learning and assisting each other. And that's the teachings of the Baha'i faith. That's where I got that, more so than anywhere else. And, you know, there's many people that think that now. It's a wonderful idea that's gaining in strength and popularity. Thank goodness. Thank God for that. Yeah.
Awesome. That's interesting to hear. And speaking of like with the hurricanes, because you mentioned that you got here right before Hurricane Ivan.
A month before.
Ivan. With any recent experience with like the last hurricanes that have come through, have you noticed those kinds of things in the aftermath of storms, like anything like with the water or just like with any debris that's left? Like, is there anything notable that you've remembered after those storms?
I was in Niceville, and the whole place lost every single one of their docks. So I wasn't in Pensacola when Scanza, or whoever they are, had their big, whatever they barges were untied and went and wrecked things. So no, I can't speak from an educated place about that, and I won't say something I don't know. Yeah. You know.
No problem. All I can do is ask and you can answer. That's it. All right, awesome. And I think I'm going to open it up for any more questions with my colleagues here. Does anyone have anything they'd like to ask? All right.
This is Grace Rednick. So you mentioned that when you got to Pensacola, or when you moved back to Florida, you worked in the health system again?
Yeah. And I moved, and I was born in Florida, but I only stayed here 4 weeks. So when I moved back, it was 2004. I didn't, so the question, I'm sorry?
Yes. Oh, I didn't get there yet.
Okay.
So did you notice, I'm not sure, high rates of cancer or certain diseases or anything like that?
Yes,
And
the high rate of cancer is more prevalent here than in other areas. And yes, I was a public health nurse. And yes, things came across my desk. Yes, indeed. Thank you for bringing that up.
And can you describe your job that you had here?
In public health, I just worked a short time in the school system. I loved it. I loved working with kids. So that was wonderful. And I also did home health care for Maxim. I also tried to get hired at Ascension Sacred Heart in the women's department, but my daughter got here ahead of me, and she got a job, and they called it nepotism if I were to work there. So I didn't get to work at Ascension Sacred Heart, but I worked at Fort Walton Beach Medical Center in the OB department. And I have heard there's high rates of cancer here, and I've had personal friends, daughters die of cancer at 22 years old of breast cancer, and that should not happen. That shouldn't happen. You know, there's ways to prevent cancer, and there's ways to cure cancer. So, wow. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Deborah, do you have anything you'd like to add? All right. Well, I guess there's kind of two more questions that we'll end out here with. With the first one, we've been asking a lot of people for these interviews.
Yeah.
So for you, whether it's in general or even based on the environmental issues here, what does justice look like for you?
Justice is a shared, well, I do want to look that up for you.
All right. Take your time.
Yeah, I do want to look that up. I hope I can find it. Mm-hmm. This is what justice is for me, okay? And these are the words of Baha'u'llah. He says, O son of spirit, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom, if thou desirest me, and neglect it not. Neglect it not, that I may confide in thee. By its aid thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and not through the eyes of thy neighbor, and shalt know of thine own knowledge, and not through the knowledge of thy neighbor. Ponder this in thy heart, how it behooveth thee to be. Verily, justice is my gift to thee, and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before thine eyes. We're a long way from that. We're a very long way from that in that society. But as more and more people learn about the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i writings and really take this to heart and try to bring about justice in their own world, then this thought will grow. So it's something. You can't tell me what justice is. Our court system tries, but they're not there yet either. Justice is based on unity of all of mankind, and unity is based on justice. And if you don't have both of those things, a society is not going to progress. So that's a very good question. I'm learning about justice in my own life and in my ways of applying it to everything I do and think and say and everything else. But I'm courageous because of the Baha'i faith. I'm not afraid to say what is truthful, no matter who wants to not vote for me or whatever it is in the state of Florida. It's an interesting mix of people, but which I love. I'm happy to be here because I love water, I love the beaches, I love sun. You know, it's a beautiful place to be, but I'm not content to just make it good for me. I want to assist in making the good for everyone. And that includes, of course, the African American race. They were brought here 400 years ago, bought and sold in markets, for gosh sakes. We have to care about the people here. We're just visitors on the planet for a time, but it's about everyone. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
You're
You said a lot for it, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was a great answer. And just as a concluding remark, this is kind of what we try to end things out with. So is there anything that we haven't asked or any kind of final thoughts you would want to like kind of conclude the interview with? Anything you would want to leave with us today?
Well, how can we become more aware of this issue, and how can we work together to fix this issue? I guess that might not be an answerable question, but it's the question to be asked, you know. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.